Aniela, please stay on stage because joining you next for a fireside chat on the use cases of AI in finance is Avi Arnon. He is a venture investor at Citi Venture focusing on data, AI, and customer engagement. Prior to Citi Ventures, Avi was an early-stage investor in iAngels and a privatization director at the Israeli Ministry of Finance. A round of applause for him, please.
Avi, I'm very happy to welcome you again here in Sofia at Webit. And being representatives from the finance industry, it makes sense that I ask some questions related to what will be the future of that industry, especially.
So maybe just before we jump into the industry, I want to thank everyone joining after lunch. I know it's not easy. And I want to get a bit of a sense who's here in the audience. So who are here investors or a founder? Not a lot of hands.
Investors
Who's here?
are on the other stage.
But we're going to talk to them later. So who here works at an enterprise looking to build AI products? Who here has worked in innovation? Great. Who here is interested in AI? We found the common denominator. And I feel that we're coming to this discussion where I'm going to be like the ground person talking about the true reality. I felt that we heard so much pitches about where AI is going to take us. And it felt like AI is already there. We're going to have our healthcare issues and our marketing issues, and everything is already there. We're just going to click of a button. A year from now, we're all without jobs. And from a person who's been looking both at this industry for a while, but also looking at how you actually implement, we're not there yet. Meaning that when everyone is excited about large language models, AI, you can actually get budgets to try things now. But when you start to implement, you find out there's a lot of pieces that are missing today. And I'm going to give just a bit of example. We're going to talk about an hour about this, and it's a good idea for founders and investors to look at these areas. But even think about in financial services, you're coming and talking to your wealth manager, and you ask him, hey, where should I invest? And if you come to a wealth manager, he's going to first tell me, hey, stop a second. Who are you? What are you? Like, what are your goals in life? What are your ambitions? But when you come into a large language model today and say, hey, where should I invest? He's going to tell you where should you invest, and there is no personalization. And the key in this interaction, especially in financial services, is that area. Another area, for example, where we're just lacking the capabilities, the guardrails of these models. Right, so they can give you whatever reason or whatever information, but when you're checking your bank account balance and can I buy this car, you need a yes or no. It's not a maybe. It's not I think you can, or not hallucinating that you're some millionaire that can buy the next Ferrari. Because if we're going to lose that, we're going to lose our key thing we have in financial services, which knowing who you are and what you have. And this is like the basis. So coming to this discussion and use cases, just keep in mind that we're starting from the ground up and building the solution to serve in the end a very highly regulated, highly focused industry.
So how AI already transformed finance industry?
So I want to say that it's implemented across the board, from the way that we're acquiring customer to the way that we are serving customer to the way that we're doing KYC and AML. And I think, but one thing I want to mention here is that while we're implementing AI, there's difference between the different flavors of AI. There's difference between linear regression when I'm doing a prediction regarding the interest rate of a specific person or a loan, and there's a difference between unsupervised ML, where I'm just giving him data setting and give predictions. In the financial industry, there's a very small section that is using this very unstructured, very sophisticated model. We're doing that mostly on fraud. And this is why the implementation in generative AI in financial services meets us in a place where we understand that this is a huge transformation. This is not an incremental shift, and we need to rethink about our platforms. And this is not something that we're going to integrate in the end. As some of the use cases that we have seen here. Like, you want to do a marketing campaign? Sure, give me like the next. Give me like 10 prompts, give me like 10 advertising. We're going to customize them and send them out. This is not going to happen in financial services. We need to think this from the ground up. And maybe this brings me to a next point that I want to share with the audience here, is that a lot of the solutions that you've seen like in the presentation before, and really much based on the model that we have today and the way that we're thinking that we're going to implement them. And most of the internet is like sales and marketing materials that companies have created for decades, and this is why it's really good for creating content for marketing, content for engagement. But once once companies understand the potential in large language model, and we see that in OpenAI, that you can have an ROI on investing $100 million in training a model, then suddenly we can start building domain-specific models. And maybe here just for the way that I grasp large language models is that this is a translation layer, meaning that it translates human language to code, right? It translates between code languages. Yeah. It can translate theoretically, and this is where we are at the breakthrough, between financial language, with financial reporting, wealth management, to human language. So you don't need an analyst to read a report, because if you can standardize the language, then we can have multiple use cases that we're not even thinking about them yet, because we're very much narrow-minded about the models that we have today. And this is why everyone are in a rush today thinking about, should I build my own? Should I customize? Should I do the training of the models? And then we will start seeing the capabilities of these models in the translation. Like, think about it. How many of you are doing a translation work in the end? If I'm a wealth consultant, I'm translating financial information to in English for the person sitting next to me. If I'm an architect, I'm translating the design language into blueprints that are being used by the next stage that are translating them from the blueprints to actual reality. So in most cases, these are the jobs that could be very much affected in the productivity level and generally. And I'm hoping that we can see these use cases fairly soon, because a lot of enterprise today have a task team that is dedicated to, let's understand what the use case is, let's find the best platform, and understand if it's worth the $100 million.
Is there anything that you find scary because of this AI in finance industry? When we talk about security, data. So it's short-term and long-term. I think in a way, in the short term, the financial industry is not prepared for what's happening now. Think about it in the past. This is scary, huh?
In a way, and I'm speaking of a lot of security leaders that are trying to understand, wait, something is happening very fast, and I think it's going to be hitting me before I'm going to be ready for that, and this is why there's a lookout for a solution that can basically protect the enterprise from synthetic data being created. So think about a phishing attack, and today you have two types. You have mass-scale phishing attack, which is quite clear that the emails were not meant for you, but generative AI enables you to do personalization at scale. So you're going to have, Citi, 250,000 emails with the right name, with the right context that are taking your credit card data and say, hey, I seen your transaction last week. I think you should look at it. And then the click-through rate is going to be so much higher, because in the end, none of us is able to sustain a really sophisticated phishing attack that is dedicated to you. We're getting constant message across all the platforms with different mediums. And I think this is the first wave that we just need to be really cognizant of. And this is not only on written communication. This is on voice. This is on video. This is your banker calling you on a chat, but it's not your banker, right? But he's talking to you, you know the details, and then you're giving him all the information. So I think this is the first line of defense that we will need to solve. But I think the greater challenge is generally, and I don't think this is specific to financial services, distinguishing between what's true and what's not in a scalable way. And I'm quite optimistic about it, because the same way that we've understood that in Google searches, there are results that are not relevant, also with ChatGPT and these large language models, we're going to be able to develop. It's like evolution. We're going to evolve in the way that we're interacting, and part of that is going to evolve in the way that we're interacting with this medium and the information that we are receiving.
So what are the potential risks that we should be aware of, and what we should do?
So the first of all, the potential risk are the hallucinations and our trust. We're giving a lot of confidence in at least the personal user and the recommendations that we're giving. And at least in the beginning, you're checking, right? I'm planning a trip to Bulgaria. I want to know what to do in the 2 days that I'm here. And the first time, you're checking, right? And the second time, you say, OK, it's quite good. And the third time, you trust it, and then the problem's going to begin. So from the enterprise point of view, and the first thing that I think enterprise want to do is just empower the employees. So you have man in the middle that's going to be so much more effective, but you want to have guardrails around the data, because the employee will always say, hey, this is the information that I got from the tool that you provided me, and this is what I've shared with the customer. So we need to be very cognizant around that. An area that I'm coming from Israel, there's always 10 security companies on one single problem, and of course security for AI and data that's going into these models and model monitoring. These are things that we saw rise up in the last couple of years, but now are getting the attention of the enterprise because the risk and dependency on these models at the consumer or the customer level are so much higher.
And the role of regulations in all this, what are the challenges that you see? Will this somehow stop the development of the industry, or it will protect people? What are the right next steps?
I think that, first of all, I think this industry has so much attention from everyone that it's got the attention from regulators, and all the financial services companies are working with them. Building the framework around this technology that you can enable financial services regulated industry to implement while not limiting or hindering the innovation is going to be very hard. And if you don't know the use cases yet, how can you regulate them? And in a way, a lot of these companies, especially the large ones, are self-regulating because we understand the guardrails and we understand where we should play, and we're very cognizant in every solution that we're developing as where in the end is going to meet us with the regulators and trying to work with them and help them and understand where the technology is impacting the financial services.
So you see more opportunities?
Yes, definitely. Think about the amount of communication at scale that we can have as customers and the way that our financial services product are going to meet our needs and understand us. I'm very excited about the opportunities. As an investor, I'm be happy to invest in companies in this space.
Thank you very much, Avi, for being here with us.
Thank you.